as to what to do, because if we do get a permit,
Right.
then we're held responsible. If we don't get a permit, our friggin' property goes to hell in a handbasket. And I thought that's what we pay the flood taxes for.
All I can suggest is that if you're going to make any improvement on your property, that you obtain a permit.
Which holds us responsible and not you responsible. That's what you're telling me. That's
Right,
what scares me.
everyone is responsible for what they construct on their property, basically.
Well, you
So
just
as the property owner, any property owner is responsible.
Then why give the permit?
Right.
then why pay the taxes and why give the permit if the owner's already
Well,
responsible?
that's a very philosophical general question. I mean, you can
we try to use common sense.
just address that to the federal government, the state government, and the county government. I'm a hydrologist. I'm not. That's sort of beyond the scope.
I'm glad you have
In
a sense of
terms
humor.
of the discussion.
Okay, well, here's what I just remember you saying that you check before you allow block walls to go up to see if there's problems or flood zone or whatever, correct?
Could you be more specific in your question?
When you guys finally do approve a permit for a block wall, you do check that it won't affect other neighbors before you approve it. That's your.
Well, that was the policy I was referring you to. I suggest you look at that, and you'll see that we really restrict where you can put a block wall, and we make people vent 50% of the bottom of the block wall if it's within 50 feet of the property line. So you might want to check out that policy. If you give me an email address, I can email you a copy of it if you're not confident of finding it online.
Okay, let me give you my email address.
metrostudydie@yahoo.com. Oh, no, metrostudydie@yahoo. Yeah, yahoo.com.
Okay, so METRO
STUDY
STUDY.
DI.
Okay, I have METRO. I can hear him better than I can hear you, ma'am. I'm sorry, I just can't hear you very well. METRO STUDY
DI.
D is in dog.
D is in dog.
And then I.
Yes, as in I. At yahoo.com.
And who am I addressing this to? Just the first name is fine. Or
Die.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
DI. Die.
As in Princess Di,
DI?
but not that one.
Okay. Okay. So I'll send you a copy of that policy regarding walls and fences.
Okay, if it was found to be that, in our case, in our situation, that you guys did allow a block wall to go up prior to checking what would happen to the other neighbors, would the inspector responsible who approved everything, would he have a responsibility
I'm
factor?
sorry, could you start over your questions? Or
Okay.
They're a little bit convoluted when I don't have any property or map or anything to reference it to. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
any property.
If any flood control, if any flooding property was allowed a permit and you guys approved it, and then there was a problem.
Okay, this is a permit for
a block wall, a floodplain use
You're
permit.
talking about a block wall. Okay.
And then a block wall.
We issued a permit for a block wall, say.
Yeah, let's say you issued a permit for a block wall in a regulatory floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say if your guy didn't check to see if it would go up the street and in the neighbor's front door and out her back door so she'd get rid of it, or they didn't check if it'd back up and go in the neighbor's foundation for his trailer and cause a trailer to settle, who would be responsible? The person that got the permit or the person that approved and didn't check out everything?
Like I said, if you build a block wall within 50 feet, so think in terms of how far 50 feet is.
Uh-huh.
See, and so I'm going over a technical policy with you over the phone, so this is,
Okay.
Okay, so think about we're in your house. Look from one end of the house to the other. Sometimes houses aren't even 50 feet long, okay?
Uh-huh.
If you build a block wall within 50 feet of your property line, you must build holes in the bottom of the block wall along 50% of the bottom of the wall to allow water to flow through.
50%. That means every other brick in the bottom.
Right. So when I mail you this technical policy, you can look at that. And it'll show you.
That's probably what we need to do is look at the technical stuff you're going to send, and then
right, and that'll show you, how it needs to look. If it's in certain areas. If it's more than 50 feet, from the property boundary, generally, but subject to our approval, you wouldn't have to vent it because it's far. We figure it's usually far enough away.
Yeah, if you're on a hill, you don't need the vents.
If it diverts water, it's going to divert it onto your property, not your neighbor's.
What? Oh shoot, I forgot. What if they built the wall somewhat to your standards and it still floods the street and backs the water up to the other people's houses?
Worse than it did before.
I'm a hydrologist.
That's why they pointed us to you.
I do not address legal issues that come up at later dates.
Do you guys have a legal advisor's name that you refer people to with legal questions?
I would really suggest that you fill out a drainage complaint if you have a problem, and we do send an inspector, and you address your concerns. And I'm sorry, but to me, in my mind, it just makes more sense if somebody here can look at the specific situation you're talking about.
Okay. How many drainage?
I'm not a lawyer.
I understand that.
Neither are
we.
we.
Administer the law. The letter of the law as it is written in Pima County in regards to our ordinance.
So would it be the Pima County attorney that we would go to and ask these questions to?
They got a Sean Hogan down there that does a lot of.
Without being anything specific, I guess I'm just having.
Okay, sorry.
Something you're worried about?
Here is a specific question, and it's still in general though. How many complaints should we have to file on this complaint form to get the problem resolved?
We send someone to investigate every complaint. So we have a person in-house who investigates these complaints. So you will hear from someone on it. Now you're saying how many do we have to fill out to get it resolved?
Yeah.
We look at it and we make a resolution, and I can't address whether or not that's going to be, what that resolution will be.
Okay, I see.
But we do it in light of the letter of the law.
Well, there's also the spirit of the law, which is also applicable in the letter of the law.
Well, that's something you can discuss with the inspector.
Okay, is Brian Jones one of you guys' inspectors?
No.
Is he a hydrologist?
Right.
Who's Eric Shep?
He's the manager of my division.
And who is Susan Shields?
She is the director of the Regional Flood Control District.
Okay, and Bill Zimmerman, he was something else, and now he's a chief hydrologist. Something changed.
He actually works more in the subdivisions. He's like in a different department. In terms of like a block wall, where a neighbor puts up a block wall or permitting block walls on individual properties, you came to the right department here. We're the ones that handle that.
Okay. Well, let me get your email. Let me get the information. And Gail, I'll probably have some more questions for you once we go through everything. And actually, we've already done the complaint forms. That's why I'm asking how many we need to do. Do I need to do more?
So when did you fill those out?
For the last 30 years. Anyways.
When was the last one you filled out?
At one of the flood meetings, I believe. But I'm going to let you send me that email, and then we're going to pick up the pace from there and go over what we see and see what you guys know after that point. I actually have to go out and answer the gate right now, so I'm going to cut this short.
When you call back, we hydrologists
Might be a different one.
Right. It may be
Okay.
a different one, but they will be as much or more knowledgeable than I am.